Hey guys, it's Bailey from Making Up the Midwest, and today I have a video review and mini tutorial using some new Wet n Wild items that I recently found on Drugstore shelves. So if you want to see what I think of these items as well as how to create the eye look that I'm wearing today, please continue watching. So to start, these are part of the new spring collection that's recently come out. These are medley palettes. They have 8 colors, but unlike the 8-pan color icon palettes, they have a different configuration, which I'll get more into later. There are also 2 other palettes that have recently come out with white packaging. One's neutral, people are comparing it to the Naked palette, and a different one that's a little more colorful. These are not those. These are in more, actually, that I wasn't able to find the other ones, found these, so I thought I would give them a go. These are $4.99 a piece, and then the nail polish lipstick combo that I'm also wearing today is also $4.99 a piece. So, oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention about these is each of these palettes comes with an eyeliner. Again, I am wearing that today as well. So the first palette I'm going to talk about is the Warm palette, since I have it in my hand right now. And right off the bat, I need to tell you that I was not drawn to these palettes at all. They just have a very retro kind of feel, visually that is. I'm pretty much drawn to all Wet n Wild products because they have a good reputation. But just visually, the packaging didn't appeal to me, the configuration, the colors, none of the colors in either of these palettes really appealed to me. I really honestly got it based on the reputation. So in this top row, you have three ultra shimmery shades, and they describe them as shimmer overcoats for brow bone. They aren't separated like you'll see with the shadows here, which kind of is a turnoff for me. I like having that separation. I don't know if that's just out of habit or if, you know, my mind actually really thinks the shadows stay separate that way. But that's just, I don't know, matter of habit maybe, that I like it that way. These are very shimmery shades. I mean, they're sheer, there's really no kind of substance to them. They are exactly as the palette describes them, as shimmer overcoats. The other thing though is I can't imagine putting these on my brow bone. I mean, they are pure sparkle. They're not even glitter because they're not very dense, which was kind of disappointing. I am actually wearing them in my inner corner in this look, and yeah, they don't really show up at all. But you get 3 shades of them, so I don't know, do with that what you will. In the middle here you get pearl powders for the eyelid, and I mean, that's exactly what they are. They're very pearlescent, a little bit shimmery, but not very chunky at all. Here on the your left, I suppose it is the shimmery shade, shimmery sandy shade, a medium lilac kind of color, and then on the end here, a maroon shade. Overall, they perform really well. I guess it kind of underperformed. It's not a complete dud, but the one that underperformed for me in this trio was this sandy shade right here. But overall, they are very opaque, they're very buildable, they're very smooth, kind of powdery as is typical of Wet n Wild shadows, but nothing super concerning. Then you move to the last 2 shadows, which are matte definers. Yes, matte definers for the eyeline is what the back of the palette says. And this is just a medium matte brown and a dark matte black. And something about this color combination just is a little off to me, and I feel the same way about the other palette, but I don't know, to me it's like you should have taken these top shimmery shades away, and that would have been a good kind of cohesive color palette, because the shimmery shades at the top just kind of ruin it for me. Yeah, to me that just seems like a really cohesive kind of palette, and that is just weird. I don't know. Plus, these don't really add anything for me anyway because the quality isn't that great. But the quality of these 2 at the bottom is really nice. Considering they're matte shades, they're very smooth, relatively pigmented. The black is nice and pigmented, and then this brown is a great crease shade. Now, I'm not wearing this palette on my eyes today. That's not what I used to create this look, but I did create a look that I wore during the actual daytime today, like to work and everything earlier, and I'll flash a picture of that right now so you can get a feel for what these shadows actually look like on the eye. And I think you'll be able to see that the shimmery shades really don't live up to much of anything. They're there if you can see them, but yeah, they just really don't do anything for this palette, for your eyes, anything like that. So that is this palette. In the shimmer overcoats, in this you get a baby blue, light yellow, and kind of a baby purple, almost like pastel purple. Again, none of these didn't function well at all, I didn't think. In fact, I'd be interested to hear if anybody else had success with these and what they did to get that success, because I find using just a good brush for packing shadow on and really trying to pack it on did nothing. So I'd love to hear your tricks if you happen to like these shadows. But that's what you get in the top row. In the middle pearl eyelid row, you get this beautiful teal with silver shimmer, this And actually, I wouldn't call this shimmer, I'd really call it glitter. It's like a matte teal base with a silver glitter. In the middle here, you get a truly pearl copper shade. And then over here on the end, you get kind of a mid to deep purple. For lack of a better, it's a purple. You can see what kind of purple it is. I'm sure it's a shade of purple, but you get the idea. And then here on the bottom, you get a deep chocolate. You get a deep matte chocolate brown and a deep matte navy, which are both beautiful shades. Again though, looking at this palette, it doesn't seem like a cohesive color palette, and that's what I'm wearing on my eyes right now. And I feel like it created a decent look, but in no way would I ever expect to get a neutral, natural look at its palette out of either of these palettes, frankly. So neither of these are for the faint of heart when it comes to wearing your colors around, so keep that in mind. But kind of same remarks with this palette as I had with the last, and that is that these shadows up top are absolute crap. Like, I just have no love for them at all. But these are really nice. They're smooth and pigmented. They're easily buildable. The mattes are great. Mattes are always a hard thing to find in the drugstore, I think at least, and so it's nice to have not one but two in a palette like this. But I just feel like the palettes are falling up short for these three up top being duds. So, and then the other thing that you get with each of these palettes is the Mega Liner liquid eyeliner, and I find that it works reasonably well. It's not waterproof, but it's not going to smudge. If anything, I find that it will flake away sooner than it smudges or smears, which is kind of nice. I much prefer that to having, you know, sad, watery, just you know what I'm trying to say. You know, it doesn't do that. It just flakes. But it lasts for a pretty decent amount of time. I also really like the applicator on this. It's a brush, very easy to apply. I find you can build product up well. It's a very opaque liner. And yeah, I used it to create this look. Speaking of this look, I used the Cool palette, like I said earlier, and to do that, I placed the copper shade. I used a flat brush to pat that all over the center of my eyelid. Then I used a combination of the two matte shades down here, and I placed that in my outer corner to really deepen things up, brought it a little bit into the crease, but then used a fluffier blending brush to really blend it all out. So colors were blended, nothing was too harsh up in the crease. On the lower lash line, I used a defining brush in this shimmery teal, and I placed that on my inner corner and took it right until about the middle / outer third of my eye, where I then used that same detailer brush with the matte blue and connected that to my outer corner. Last, for the shadows on the inner corner, I tried to show you what this shimmery yellow was like, but I don't think I was able to do a good job at that, mostly because it's just so sheer, but if you can believe it or not, it is actually there. And then lastly, I used the liner to draw kind of a more dramatic wing, added lashes, and then a little bit of pencil liner on my lower lash line to create, or to fully finish this look. And again, like I said, overall, I really like the way these center shadows apply. I think they went on very opaquely. Yeah, that's a word. We're making it a word. I think you'll be able to see that in the tutorial, that they just go on really easily. Alright, and now the last two pieces for this collection. There were two nail and lip duos. I picked up the hot pink, obviously, because I'm just a sucker for this color, especially during the summer when neons are going to be back in. I just love a good hot pink, so I picked up the hot pink, and then there was a lipstick that came with it, and this is Fergie Daily, and I'm not sure what collection this is part of, if it's exclusive. I'm not sure what line of lipsticks this is from, but I really like the formula, and now that I'm talking about it, I guess I'll cover that first. This is a nude shade. Fergie Daily is just a really, as you can see, I'd say on the lighter end of the nude spectrum. It looks a little dark in the tube, I guess you would call it, but you can see on my lips I don't think it comes off nearly that dark. As to whether it's flattering to me, I'm still up in the air. I don't know if that's because I don't tend to wear nudes like this, or if it truly doesn't flatter me, but I'm still getting used to it. But I love the formula. It goes on really smooth and creamy. It has decent lasting power. I've worn this once in the morning, kind of drank coffee with it to see how it would last, and it was pretty decent. So and it has like a satin finish, I guess I would say. It's not completely matte, but it's not by any means balmy or dewy or anything like that. I'd say satin. And I'm really compelled to go pick up more of this formula if I can find it, because I like it that much. As for the nail polish, although I love the color, I'm not in love with the formula. It wasn't opaque at 2 coats. In fact, it's not really fully opaque even at 3 on all of my nails, and beyond 3, in fact, at 3, I tend to get really impatient because that just sends the drying time through the roof. So I'm not sure. I will keep this duo just for this lipstick, but I'm not crazy about this pink. I think I can fix it by putting like a white base underneath and painting the pink on top, kind of like you have to do with a lot of neon polishes out there, but I wish I didn't have to take that extra step. Regardless, it's a nice color, so if you like it, I would recommend checking it out, especially for the lipstick. So now that I feel like I already kind of gave you my conclusive recommendation on the nail polish and lip duo, I'll move on to the eyeshadow palettes before we finish. These are, it's this weird combination of hit and miss. I guess I would only recommend these if you saw a shadow in here that you must have, because ultimately at $4.99 a palette, they're consistent with the Wet n Wild pricing, and the shades, you know, the shades that are in there that are good are really good, whether it's the pearl shades that you're after or the matte shades, but those shimmers just ruin it for me. And so if you look at either of these palettes and think, I have those shades, I don't want those shades, you know, then I would absolutely leave these, because at $4.99 a palette, I believe that's what their typical 8-pan palettes are, and I think the consistency and quality is overall better. So, yeah, those are kind of my feelings on it. They're not awful palettes, mind you, but when you have 3 shades in there that could completely be thrown away, I mean, they're just flat out bad. Yeah, also keep in mind, these aren't neutral palettes, so if you want kind of those staple palettes, I don't think these would be it for you. Granted, the shades are very fun and they perform well, like the super fun teal and copper and the purple and maroon here, they perform really well, but if that's not what you're looking for, then these aren't for you at all. My final thoughts are that these are not must-have products. It feels like a really rushed project on Wet n Wild's part, and if you see shades and colors in here that you must have and it's worth the $4.99, then it's worth it for you. But I'm definitely not going to go recommending these to everyone who asks. So those are my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. I hope it helps you make your decision when you're at the counter picking your Wet n Wild goodies out. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!